Greetings everyone, welcome back to Nyx Mods, the original Nyx mod if you will, the first and the last of my Glatorian revamps. Matanui was a character many were excited to get their hands on until they saw what he looked like. Some say he's too short, too lanky, too generic, too small masked, and some just wish he was gold, as was at one point considered in development. Me? I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, obviously I did. But I wouldn't ask the designers to change a thing. I love Matanui just the way he is. His proportions, shield and shoulders, and yes, even the color. Next to his less organic than described 2009 peers, he doesn't feel like a Glatorian. These mold choices are distinctly more Toa-like, with a little Toa-Gneka DNA. And at least to me, the vibrant colors and shapes are incredibly iconic. One of the most realized and underappreciated designs released in a year full of competition. And indeed, I didn't appreciate him, because this isn't my original Matanui. I modded that one immediately, taking these pics on July 19th, 2009, or at least around that. You know, throughout these more recent episodes, people have been asking if I had plans to mod Matanui. They just assumed I hadn't for some reason, but he'd been in the pipeline a decade before any of the others. I wanted this Matanui to feel like a god with superhero proportions, and a giant double-bladed flying surfboard made of one of Tahu's swords and one of Jala's, called the God Sword. Dear lord. Aside from switching the Tahu blade with a second Jala blade and then giving both back to him, I left Matanui unchanged until around the time I started modding Gresh, Malum, and the rest. As his friends grew and he was a short king again, I was now media literate and emotionally mature enough to understand that Matanui is a humbled great spirit, so I didn't give him a second massive growth spurt, just a little one. And I replaced the God Sword with a modest, tasteful attempt at recreating his blade from the movie. The pieces line up nicely to protect his fingers. And as the others grew more organic, I planned to keep him mechanically Toa-ish, but eventually added some shells because his thighs and upper arms were now comically spindly. And there just aren't a lot of options in this color. I moved the thigh armor up and back, a sort of reverse skirt that's in line with Glatorian skirts, but kinda cakey from the back. The shoulder crests are similarly adjustable, tilting outward to collide with his head less often, and even tilting forward and back as expressively as in the movie. I wanted the shield to channel a bit of click, just a couple Borak eyes symbolizing click's eyes. They could be trans neon yellowish green, but I think just yellow clashes less with Matanui. To further distinguish him from the Glatorian, I swapped his spiky feet for Toa Metru ones, something none of the others have, and another visual element connecting him to the Matoran universe himself. The last changes were in his body. He was just too bulky for my new taste, so I shrunk his backpack from a big foot to a more flush Hero Factory shield, before even throwing that out. I flipped the torso and black chest armor around, much like Malum's, moving his pelvic armor back to the front where it originally was. I could move it down by giving him the same new pelvis as all of my Glatorian mods, but I feel the gear crotch is an integral separation from his fleshy new pals, for obvious reasons. I even like how these longer gray pins look like pistons, only adding to that feel. And even at this size, he still kinda pulls off the David and Goliath thing with Tuma. This Matanui has been cooking for 14 years. But these last few changes, I made him just the other day, and I can't promise I won't find some other part of him to alter in the future. He still isn't perfect, but he's pretty close, and he's given me a new appreciation for the original that I think is perfect for what it's doing. You know, it wasn't easy finding a new sealed Matanui for this comparison. I just don't trust used ones from this era. The time between the last uncracked Matanui disappearing from Bricklink or eBay and another one landing can be several months. And when I got lucky and realized that this could be the last sealed Matanui, aside from a couple dozen that Duckbricks will find in the back of a store in Singapore one of these days, and certainly the last you'll see on YouTube for some time, I had to record myself unboxing it. Anyway, thank you for joining me these last 9 episodes. I probably didn't need to marathon so many Glatorian in a row, but it took me 2 years to show off 3, and I didn't want to make you wait 8 to see all 12. I actually do still have a couple more Glatorian to show off. But not mods, they're full on mocks, the sister of the Skrallo Sea and a Glatorian of Earth, but I'll save them for next year, and the usual Chima mods and others. That's it for today. Check out my books on Amazon and itch.io, and my Patreon page to get videos like this early, your name in the credits, behind the scenes content, a patron Discord server, signed copies of Planet Ripple, and maybe even your own LEGO Rewind episode. See you next mod. Toodles!